So there's an interesting sidebar conversation to be had around the coronavirus. As you'll know, China has built 2 quarantine hospitals in less than a week. Have a look at this, that construction. This has been happening in less than a week to monitor patients infected with the coronavirus. I want to show you some video, actually, of the actual construction site that has been happening in China. That's not it at the moment. I think those are visuals of other centers where some of the patients have been treated around China that have coronavirus. But I don't think that's actually the correct video there. But nonetheless, the conversation is worth having. In South Africa, a similar construction project can take years to complete. Today we are scrutinizing, in fact, the right video is showing now, scrutinizing infrastructure and asking what are we doing wrong and how can we be better at it. I'm joined now by Molefe Lale, an infrastructure and delivery expert and CEO of Lale and Company, joining me in studio. But let's keep those visuals there. They've had a live stream for people to be able to monitor. It's a prefab structure, granted. There's 2 hospitals that they are building, but there's 24-hour live stream so that people act as the additional oversight and people can watch and see real-time construction taking place. So, conversation then with Molefe Lale, who is in studio with me. Let's have a conversation. How come China can do it in 7 days? Molefe, the emergency is there. There's a need for a hospital, 2 hospitals. They can pull it off in 7 days. And as I was saying, granted, it's a prefab structure. But I'd argue that in our country, even if we wanted to put up 1 hospital using prefab, we wouldn't pull it off in 7 days. So what are they doing that we are not doing right?
Thanks very much, Dr. Similani. Good day, listeners. I think it's a hope that this Chinese endemic now leads us to a situation where we now will have the world now rethinking the whole bureaucratic aspect of project delivery and infrastructure delivery agencies. The Chinese scenario is not new. They've got a blueprint. I think in 2003, they had the SARS virus, where the Xiongdashang hospital was built within 10 days.
Yeah.
So primarily what they're doing is taking that blueprint and applying to Lianshan and now the other side in Huanshan. So the aspect of modular buildings and prefabrications is not new, and it's a question of whether the construction methodologies are sound, and there is no doubt that they are safe. Because all over the world, I mean, going back to Florida, going back to even in South Africa now, we see a lot of modular buildings receiving acceptability.
Yeah.
And definitely they do fast-track construction time.
But how come it's difficult for us then, Molefe? If, for instance, a school were to collapse in a part of KwaZulu-Natal a day before schools reopen.
Yes.
And we have the ability to bring prefab, but it would take time for us to even get there. There would be, at the very least, a month or so of toing and froing of memos, going back and forth, approvals being sought, but basically getting to site and, getting the work done would take longer.
I believe it goes down and back to policy aspects of, that if a school collapses, that should be immediately be declared as an emergency situation. Yeah. And then the rectification and the remedy thereof should be in that nature as well. However, the process that we have currently requires that you follow a process that now looks into aspects of making sure that, there's sanctioning, there's proper, it's a bureaucratic process, which, for instance, I can tell you in China now, the aspect of, for instance, labor unrest or interventions, the entire stakeholder aspect is applicable. However, it's done in a streamlined fashion. The kind of politics that are in China compared to what we have, I believe we are in the same economy because we're all in the BRICS economy. I believe that we can also, borrow each other aspects of how do you do it. But the Chinese decision-making process currently is of nature that says that the endemic must be curbed. And that is the objective currently. The objective is that everybody is working together to curb the objective. The aspects of safety, the aspects of, let me say, the nice-to-haves have been put aside.
Yeah.
And we are now dealing with endemic.
Let's respond to this situation.
Everybody has clapped together. I can tell you of the top 10 construction companies in the world are in China. Your state bank, your state construction company. You've got, there's 2 other construction companies in China who together, when you put just those 3 together, you've got a workforce of 600,000.
Yeah.
People working at one go.
And that aspect of working 24 hours a day.
I'm excluding the factories, the fabrication houses, the transportation, and so it's a togetherness. And this now reminds me of how we managed to deliver the World Cup. We had an objective which said that we are supposed to meet a particular date.
Yeah.
And we all, as a country, clapped together to deliver that. There has been aspects of, repercussions, afterwards, aspects of collusion and competitive.
Do those things, such as the collusion that happened with the World Cup and some of the corruption that goes into the tendering procurement system, contribute to the pace at which we can deliver? In other words, we have to be more diligent than the Chinese perhaps have, given their zero tolerance for corruption, for example, that, corruption will occur, but the risk, everyone knows that, if you are corrupt in China, the repercussions are really high. Having eliminated or perhaps minimized that aspect, does that help them to get on with the work quicker? Whereas with us, you have to satisfy PFMA, you have to ensure that you scrutinize the procurement, and as a result, it takes forever.
I believe everywhere there's governance, and even in China there's governance. However, when a task is at hand to be delivered, you need a delivery strategy around the table that says this is the objective and this is the outcome, and this is how we are going to tackle that. So I don't really feel that the aspect of project delivery as it stands with our current infrastructure delivery, let me say, methodologies, we are far off. We are delivering quality infrastructure. We've got our own challenges as a country. We've got, let me say, capital aspects to deal with, to address. We need to, there's limitations, there's batteries that we put in place to make sure that we are within objectives of addressing the objectives of the country.
Right. Molefe, thank you so much for coming through and sharing your insights. And I know the work that you have done, including in the public sector as well, around this aspect of public infrastructure development and delivery. That's Molefe Lale speaking to me about the comparisons, really, and lessons we can learn from China being able to deliver those 2 hospitals to respond to coronavirus within a space of days, compared to us taking months, if not years, in this country. You are up